Next item is citizens' comments. Is there anyone here, either in person or online, that would wish to make some comments before the board today? Okay, not hearing any. Next item is financial report.
Gary's on vacation in California at the moment.
You want me to start with Bridget?
I'm pulling it right now.
Okay. Just let me make a few comments while she's pulling that up. I've read the minutes from the last meeting, and you guys did a really good job. I appreciate Mason taking over for me. I was down in Disney World with my grandboys. I want to welcome Mel. He's here to do a request for proposal presentation. I know Mel through the Chamber of Commerce. He's our, he works for us at the Chamber.
All right, so for February, we finished at $399,194. Our approved budget for this month was $260,000. So we'll exceed that. Year to date, that puts us as an ABC system at $3,583,000. Municipal Crossing is currently at, as of end of fiscal February, $2,747,000 for the year. That has put our end of year forecast at roughly $5.3 million for this year. We were number 37 in the state out of 171 boards for total volume as a single store board. There are some county boards that we're beating right now, so COPS is working there. We also were number 1 in the state for comp sale versus last year for the second month in a row at 130% growth over last year in same store size comparisons. The next highest ABC system was at 65% growth, so we more than doubled the second place person for that. We still have not utilized any of our line credits, which is exciting. Jason was here. I apologize, he had to leave. We have a member of the ABC Commission that is coming into the store to observe our trucks, and the truck arrived early, so he had to step out for that. But he was going to provide an update on the AP aging summary for everyone. He has started ordering against it. He'll give a final update on that at the April meeting, but he has started ordering it from the older pieces. Does anyone have any questions from the financial report?
So for just the month of February, our net income was $1,249.
Yeah, so we had our quarterly distribution payout. So we had a $14,000 payment to the town of Youngsville that happened. As you'll see in September, we had a similar, that our net income was significantly lower for that month as well, because we had our quarterly payout. One thing that Carrie and I discussed during our budget workshop was for this upcoming fiscal year with this budget, potentially doing a monthly estimated payout based on that fiscal month's results, and then doing a quarterly true-up so that we're not taking a huge chunk out of net income once a quarter. We're consistently taking it out as stated in the budget monthly. There also was the cost of sales for January and February. There was a difference in January because of the POS issues we were having with the update for the new mobile app that's coming out. So cost of sales for January should have been lower and February would have been higher. So the two of them will balance each other out.
For the minutes, I think it's just the opposite, Bridget. January probably should have been higher and February probably lower.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got it backwards.
You're fine. I just want to make sure the minutes are right. I saw some discussion in the minutes last month about these AP credits.
Yes.
Is there action items going on, particularly with that Cleveland whiskey?
That's what I just mentioned about Jason from Date. He has started ordering against the credits. The Cleveland whiskey one, in doing some further research into that, I have found the invoice that it may have come from, and it was written as an auto write-off in July, which there's an issue with the LBMB system. When the invoices came through, there was like a bunch of them that were marked as paid by their system. So we just have to do a little bit more research into it. Because it was the barrel, it was one invoice, it was the barrel load order that was $7,000. So we've requested a copy of our invoices from them just to see what they have in their system. So the rest of it, yes.
Mel could probably answer this, but I think if it was a mistake and we cancel it out and turn that payable from a credit to a debit, wouldn't that go straight to the bottom line as profit? I think it probably would, because we've already expensed it. Okay, good deal.
Any other questions regarding the financial statements?
Okay. Thanks, Bridget. Next item is the consent agenda. It's basically the minutes from the last ABC board meeting in January. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
I second it.
Okay, discussion. I do have a question. I noticed in the minutes that we stated we were working with the town on the service contract at $20,000 a month. Come on now, Nathan. Do better than that.
We can have zeros anywhere you want.
So we
I
probably,
think the previous cost was $20,000 annually,
Annually.
and I believe what we discussed was $6,000 annually. There's a micro update from Bridget, Katie, and I on that Katie's almost done reviewing the contract. There were some things she had some strong considerations for in the original contract. So she just wanted to help protect the ABC board, but also protect the town.
Mhm.
I don't think that there's any likelihood of something going on with it, but, when we clean these things up, when we have the cordial relationships that we have now, it makes it easier whenever something does happen down the road.
okay. So do we need to correct that in the minutes then? Yeah, I think we probably should.
I'll go back and listen to the tape and make sure that it is, if it's equal to what was said in the tape, if that was how it was phrased, I won't be able to correct it.
Okay.
It just have to be corrected in this month's meeting.
Okay.
But if it's something that we took wrong from the tape, then I can get that corrected and brought back to you for next month.
Okay. Stanley recommends amending the management services contract with the town for next year around $20,000 a month to include clerk services and attorney services. So if it was misspoke and you wrote it down verbatim, I guess we'll have to live with it. So,
It's just something that we can make note of, that, it was mentioned incorrectly last month, and this is how it should be.
okay.
And I can phrase it that way in these minutes, when it was something that wasn't misspoke, we just typed different.
Okay.
I think, and too, it's representative in this month's minutes that we say that was an incorrect statement. If it was stated that way, then we should be.
Okay. Good deal.
And what really matters is what you'll approve in the contract.
All right. So we have a motion to approve, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Old business, update on the proposed second ABC store. Mason?
Yeah, so as you guys know, previously we only had really 2 locations that we were looking at back in February. Since then, We've had 2 more locations that have come about, one being on Holden, another one right here on Main Street. So the plan is to open up further discussion today in closed session to talk about those, and at that time then after we'll disclose exactly those locations. So
But be careful with closed session discussion. When it comes to closed session, it does not allow which property to acquire. If you're going to discuss the actual properties, that needs to be discussed in open session. And if anybody wants to acquire, those addresses do need to be stated in open session. The only thing that you can really discuss in closed session is negotiations to purchase, so that you don't give away your hand on that. But it does allow members of the public body to agree on a final position as an instruction to the staff or agent. There's no legal limit who can attend, so you can have, if you need one of the property owners there to answer questions, that's fine. But it does not allow discussion of which property to acquire. That'll have to happen in open session. And I caution that because there have been other lawsuits and case law regarding having that.
Thank you, Emma.
One thing you could do is you could go into closed session to discuss all of the potential properties, and then you could authorize Bridget to offer 37 cents for your second and third ones, and that way the first price person doesn't know that they're in first place. But you've only talked about money in the closed session.
Okay.
that's what I'd prefer to do.
Yeah.
What Nathan referenced.
You want to talk about the building plan?
What do you mean?
Well, you've got a conceptual plan drawn of the building, so we have progressed a little bit further on that. It'll likely need to go to the architect at least for that. So is that what we're thinking about? I want to thank Mason and Bridget for their work on the property committee. We have spent a little bit of time on it and met some really nice people in all of our discussions.
Yeah, this is something that we can pass around. Again, it's a conceptual that we've been working on. Since the last time we've changed a few things, we actually made the building 20 foot longer to get a little bit bigger of a building. Again, that might change back some. The size is not definite, but I feel like it's a good little design. Gives us a barn look, which I think fits the kind of old town. I like it. Kind of reminds me of a tobacco barn almost.
Don, do you and Lila have any questions about Mason's update?
No.
Okay, all right. Next on the agenda is new business. We have a presentation from Mel Manning with Aleta County. Bridget, would you like to introduce Mel to the group?
This is Mel. Mel is going to be presenting a proposal for potential finance officer services. He's our second proposal that we have. His resume and proposal is attached in the agenda packet that you guys were given this weekend. I also have it on the screens if you would like to review while he's discussing what he has, but I'll turn it over to Mel to kind of pitch you guys and talk about his services. It's up to you. Yeah.
My name is Mel Manning, and I have an accounting degree, and I've got about 39 years now of accounting experience. I started out with my father had a Fort Wilson. My father had a CPA firm. There I started out working with him in public accounting for a few years. Then I went into manufacturing accounting. I worked for different companies for about 21 years in manufacturing. After that, I've worked for several family-owned corporations, local businesses. About a year and a half ago, I was commuting from Henderson to Rocky Mount every day. Decided that was not what I wanted to continue to do on a daily basis. At that time, a friend of mine from college, who's a CPA from Cary, we had decided to try to collaborate and do something together. So we started a payroll processing company. And at the same time, I said, well, I've got and my friend had his CPA business with his current clients, and I had an accounting company that I'd started around 2005 with just very few clients because it was kind of goes on the side outside of my regular full-time jobs. So I decided to work on building that business. Fortunately, my two previous employers retained me to continue to work for them. And so I still do some work for them today. One of them was also referred me for a few other jobs, clients that I'm doing work for. One of them being the Franklin County Chamber. They decided to, when they changed their setup of their office, they decided to go with an outside financial consultant. So I've been doing work with them since the beginning of 2021, as well as handling their payroll through my payroll processing company. So that's where I am today, just been working as an outside consultant for different organizations. I've got several nonprofits that I work for, some of them in Yost, some in Henderson. Bridget and I had discussed the role that I would play here if you selected me to work with the organization. I know it sounded like maybe we were talking about reviewing invoices and pending payments before they were, payments were made, reviewing payroll before it's submitted. Just being available for any questions. I know Bridget sounds like she's taking on a little bit more of a role on the financial side than you had previously. Just being there for any questions she has, any support. Of course, at the end of the month, doing the reviewing all the transactions, doing the bank reconciliations, preparing financials, presenting them to the board, and just being available whenever needed with questions after that as well. So I had quoted her at $45 an hour. We had talked about, hopefully kind of working towards getting where we felt comfortable with the hours, but we just what's going to be involved. But maybe try to get to just a flat monthly rate. And either way, it's fine with me if I were to work with the board. Some analysis of my background and what I can try to offer for you. If you have any questions.
Some years ago, I was at a annual meeting with the chamber up in Henderson, and you received an award. What was that for, Mel?
I was going to ask you, I think, would that have been 2018?
Yeah, sometime back.
I was the chair of the board that year for the Henderson Vance Chamber. I was on the board for 10 years as served as treasurer. Finally, I served as the chair in 2018. I think I just had to do my speech that year. They probably presented me with a plaque.
Yeah, okay. Good deal.
Yeah, I'm not a public speaker, so
Well, based on your discussions with Bridget, how would you see there be a difference between, I know what you're doing for the Franklin County Chamber. Is it much different?
Well, I haven't really gotten into the details here. With the Franklin County Chamber, I'm initiating the payment for all the payments.
Right.
I'm having to record all of the members' payments in two different systems.
Mm-hmm.
Invoicing for all the different types of special events like golf tournaments and so forth.
Right.
But, then presenting the financials. I'm sure there'll be some difference because I'm And again, we haven't really gotten into a lot of depth
Yeah.
in our conversations about it, but it sounds like it would just be more of a review of the payables before they're paid. Just have a second set of eyes looking at it, as well as the payroll. I'm assuming, it sounds like maybe Bridget would actually be entering the deposits. I guess you maybe do that daily, or for every work day or business day that you're open. So it might not be quite as day-to-day
Yeah.
as what I'm doing with the chamber and for other clients that I have. But it's, it is still, the accounting piece as far as
Yeah.
verifying, make sure everything looks accurate, bank accounts are reconciled, balance sheet looks accurate.
Mhm.
Because I've always felt like, from an accounting standpoint, when you're looking at financials, if your balance sheet is accurate, then you know in total, your income statement's accurate.
And, if you don't mind, Milton, just to provide the board with some context, ABC is so wildly different in our finance officer needs versus really most any other type of business, because we have upwards of 500 invoices sometimes in a month that just from the liquor distillers that will need to be processed. And so Carrie and I, during our training sessions over the last couple of months, have been working on trying to streamline that process. And instead of it taking a full day to manually type in all these invoices into the spreadsheet, now it's, maybe an hour or two to process one truck's invoices at a time. So that is before any other, outside vendors need to be paid or payroll needs to be processed. So I think, because that is something that I can do very quickly because I'm familiar with the ABC system, we don't have a need for a finance officer to pay our invoices. What we do, however, need is for there to be a checks and balances in place so that when we go before our audit each year, we have a finance officer stand on what we're paying and what money's going out, and that, if I can process payroll for us, but there should be a second person in that review line to verify that the money is there and that there's not additional money going out outside of what is in the payroll reports. So that was kind of what Mel and I discussed, is that, also I'm not an accountant, and while I understand the basic principles of debits and credits, when you start talking about balance sheet stuff, that we need our expert on that. So I will run the retail enterprise for you guys, but we do need someone that has that accounting expertise. So. Any questions for now?
No, I'm good.
So it looks like you guys assigned some committees last month at the meeting, and Don, you and Hunter and Bridget are reviewing our financial committee. Is this a committee function that you guys will bring a
I
recommendation?
think what we'll do is I'll get with Don and Hunter, and we'll review the proposals that we have been presented, and then we can make recommendations to the board.
All right, good deal. Thank you for agreeing to do that. Mel, thank you for coming.
Thank you for,
Appreciate your time today.
letting me be able to meet with you and present my proposal to you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, the next item on the agenda is a resolution to request capital improvement funds from the Youngsville Board of Commissioners. Bridget, are you going to handle that one?
So Rick and we had Carrie run our working capital calculation. And because we are quickly approaching what we are allowed to have by the commission as our maximum working capital. We are asking for the board to vote to approve a resolution for us to request permission from the town commissioners to let us set up a capital improvement fund so that we can start putting money aside for our new store opening. And just in case there's anyone not familiar with that process, basically the general statutes and the ABC commissions state that we are only allowed to retain a certain amount of working capital. And once we have reached that maximum amount, we have to turn over all net profits over that amount directly to the town, which is great and exactly what we want to do at some point. But right now, we want to be able to put that money aside so that we have as much money as possible to not have to take out a loan for the new store opening or less money to loan out. So this is just giving me the permission to ask the town to put it on the agenda, to ask the commission to set up a capital improvement fund for us. I met with Rick and Mason yesterday, and one thing that the town commissioners are going to want to know is, how much, this isn't an indefinite thing. This would be a temporary capital improvement fund, and it has to have a purpose, and we have to have a general amount that we want to be able to put aside. So we put together kind of a general capital expenditure budget, just so we can get an idea of what the maximum amount we would need our capital fund would be. So we just looked at, potentially roughly $200,000 to purchase land. Rick had someone estimate out, just kind of generally looking at our first draft drawing, like what the cost would be to build this building. Our last store opening, total cost for lights, fixtures, flooring, all that was roughly $175,000. Site improvements, depending on which site we choose to make offers on, could be upwards of $150,000. We may have approximately $400,000 inventory that we would order depending on our linear footage in the store. And then operating capital for 6 months. The $250,000 is roughly what our expenses would be over a 6-month period, not including liquor invoices.
That's a similar capital budget as what we put together for
For the store?
Youngsville Crossing store, so.
It was more detailed for that, but just kind of giving us a general idea here. That would put us having a borrowing need of roughly $1.5 million.
Well, I definitely think we need to have something set up if we can, to have that money roll over if we need to. And again, it's temporary, so.
So did everyone get a chance to review the working capital calculation?
No, I didn't really review it.
Okay. Bridget, is it okay if I go through this for everyone? So this is per the North Carolina General Statute to determine, the expectation is that you maintain a minimum working capital. And then there's a limit on how much working capital you can retain, because the whole purpose of the ABC board is to generate income, which would be distributed to the town. So we can't just hoard money indefinitely. We need to distribute money when we're able. So if you work through the sales year to date through February of $3.6 million, you take away the taxes that we paid of $812,000, that gives you our net sales after taxes of just short of $2.8 million. So if you divide that by 52 weeks, that is $53,000 a week in net sales. And the minimum requirement per North Carolina General Statute is that you have a minimum of 2 weeks sales as working capital, which is $107,000. So that's our minimum. So if you look at what the maximum would be, we take the same net sales figure after taxes and divide that on a monthly basis, and it comes up to $232,000 per month in net sales after taxes. Based on the size of our store, we would be limited to keeping 3 months of that figure as working capital. $698,000 would be the maximum working capital that we could keep. So what is working capital? You know, my almost 40 years in banking says that it is that amount of current assets that are financed with either long-term debt or equity. And it's calculated by taking your current assets and subtracting your current liabilities. So in the formula here, we inserted our $400,000 in cash as of 2/28, our inventory of 491, and we subtracted out our payables and other unsecured liabilities of 232. So that puts us at $659,000 as our current working capital. And you'll see later on in the agenda when we go over the budget amendment and what we project our profit to be by year end, we will exceed this maximum working capital position. And by North Carolina general statute, we'll have to turn over everything above that figure to the town. So that's the timing issue that we have in front of us today, is that if we don't ask for approval to set aside money for a new store, which is what we're planning to do anyway, we won't be able to save for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I may, you know, I think the thing is that we are approaching a time where this can happen very quickly, us getting the second store. And the long-term benefit to the town of us doing this quickly far exceeds the amount of money that we would give above this working capital distribution right now. So I think that's just an important factor to think about when we are talking about this capital improvement fund and the resolution today and approaching the town commissioners is, you know, look what we're doing and we're costing right now, and we have an opportunity to double that very quickly, possibly.
So the action requested is, yes, sir.
So there's a couple things that I think are important here, and Richard and I have talked about this, and this is one of those few times when we're working against each other rather than with each other. This is a time when the ABC board is requesting additional funds from the town, which would otherwise go to the town, right? And I agree wholeheartedly, the long-term goal is y'all have a second store so that these revenue numbers are twice what they are now and everybody's happy. However, the way this resolution is currently framed, it is for an unidentified amount of money for an unidentified project. So it's legit 100% blank check. My recommendation would be in order for staff to recommend approval for the board of commissioners, there should be a finite amount, a finite duration, and a project that is identified for it.
Good point. So would that be something we could accomplish this morning so we can vote on it, or should we vote to instruct Bridget to change the resolution?
If in the motion you say you want to approve the resolution with the proposed amendments, we can get that amended, and then I can, once it's finished, I can get you to come in and sign it. Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Or you could even say you authorize Bridget to make a request of the board of commissioners for, and then you should name some numbers so that there's some guide rails.
Could you pull the resolution up, Bridget, and maybe just read through it for us?
Yes. Is a resolution to request approval to establish a capital improvement fund for a new store opening project and increasing sales. Whereas the Youngsville ABC Board is in need of additional working capital for expenses related to the opening of a new store and increasing sales. And whereas being authorized by General Statute 18B 805D, the appointing authority, Board of Commissioners of the town of Youngsville, must approve a capital improvement fund to accumulate dollars in excess of the maximum working capital amount allowed by the rules of the North Carolina ABC Commission. Now therefore, the members of the ABC Board of the town of Youngsville resolves that the opening of the new store is in the best interest of the town and the general public, that the budget ordinance adopted by the Youngsville ABC Board provides adequate funding for the aforementioned transaction, that the general manager is authorized to request approval by the Board of Commissioners of the town of Youngsville to establish a capital improvement fund for the purpose stated in this resolution.
So Nathan, then, based on your experience working with the town, the opening of a new store, do we need to elaborate more on that
Well,
particular one?
so you say for new store opening and increasing sales, you could make the argument that buying 100 barrels is increasing sales, right? And again, I think that there's a cordial relationship between everybody,
Yes,
but I think that the way that this is currently worded is very, 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 very much in favor of the ABC board
sure.
and by extension, not in favor of the town.
So as far,
For the purchase of new land and construction of a new store.
okay, yeah, that's what I'm asking. So in the resolves there, under section 1, the opening of a new store, we should word that differently to the effect that the capital improvement fund shall be designated for the purchase of land and construction of a new ABC store in the town of Youngsville, something to that effect? Okay, so then number 2, that the budget ordinance adopted by the Youngsville ABC Board provides adequate funding. What do you mean by that, Bridget, that the budget ordinance?
Just that we have the money to be able to put aside money and pay for anything that we need to do in relation to the capital improvement fund. It's similar to how when we requested a separate line of credit, it was just stating that our
Sure.
income is, like, we have the money in place to be able to establish that line of credit and to be able to pay it back if we use it.
Okay, should we quantify the amount then as far as the budget ordinance adopted? We've kind of threw out a capital budget that showed, what's the total?
Yeah, should we use that number in there?
$1,475,000.
Yeah, but the total cost of the land and the building and setting up the store.
Mhm.
Let's don't put inventory and working capital in that number. So that probably ought to be a number that we put in resolve number 2.
Okay.
Let's flip back then. So
Would it be provides up to that number?
I don't know that we've adopted a budget ordinance, but it would say that the board estimates that such purchase of land and construction of building and all improvements should be in the approximately $1,200,000.
Or maybe the capital improvement fund balance shall not exceed.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be good.
So
1.2,
add that into,
section 2.
Mhm. Do you want to just do that as we're going?
that's what I'm planning on.
Is this okay with you, Lila?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
Okay.
makes sense. Take some numbers in there.
So go back up to section 1. Let's go ahead and change that, Bridget. The purpose of the capital improvement fund is to purchase land.
And construction of new building.
ABC store.
You may want, instead of purchase, put, secure. Maybe an opportunity for a lease or something, and you wouldn't want this to be a thing.
Okay, good point. In the town of Youngsville.
And sorry for that one. You want to say in the vicinity of the town of Youngsville?
Yeah,
Yeah, because some of the lots might not be
might not be in the city
in the
limits
city limits.
at the moment.
Number 3, that the general manager is authorized to request approval by the board of, from. That comma out too, Bridget. So based on your experience, Nathan, does that cover the things that you wanted to point out?
I think that that is a much clearer ask.
Okay, good deal.
So you go back up to the top in that paragraph where of is.
Oh, yeah, I know, I saw it when I was reading it. Thank you.
While we're doing all the other
I know. Thank you.
So Don, have you had a chance to think about all this, or you have any other things you want to add or have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I don't have anything to add. I think what's been added today is excellent. A lot more.
Sorry, everybody. Okay, thank you. All right. The action requested is to approve the resolution. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Resolution.
presentation to request the capital improvement fund from the Youngsville Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, Bridget.
When we're done, before you leave, will you stay so we can sign?
Sure will. All right.
Do you want to change it then, now that we just?
I know, I saw it, so we're on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. I know, it's because this is my first time on computer.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, I'd like to switch C for D and talk about the budget amendment first, because I think that bears additional information to the board members once we get to the discussion on the special distribution. And I think it'd be helpful to talk about the budget amendment first. Okay. Bridget?
Okay, so in my meeting with Mason and Rick yesterday, they said that my partnership might be helpful for you. So I am going to put that up for you guys to see as well. This is the official budget amendment as what was presented to you guys. So the numbers in there are just the increase or decrease that we will have to the final budget numbers for the end of the year.
Bridget, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it would be helpful for the board for you to explain why we're having to do a budget amendment first.
So based on the auditor requirements for ABC boards, we must finish within 2.5% of our approved budget at the end of the year. for every line item. So I think the town gets 2.5% for the total budget, maybe the municipalities do, but we must finish with the 2.5% for every line item. So we have done such an exceptional job this year of exceeding sales that the original budget that was presented to the board, there are some items that are way out of line at this point. So we are doing this budget amendment to true up where we estimate we're going to finish the year, so that we can be in compliance with our audits. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that?
No.
Also, budget amendments are also done if there are any changes that need to be made to the budget in the middle of that fiscal year. If, let's say that something came up that we needed to buy or purchase that wasn't in the original budget, you're legally not allowed to spend that money until the budget amendment is approved, because the money doesn't exist until it's in the budget. So we would also have budget amendments for those purposes if something like that came up. So for this particular year, as you can see, we are going to need to increase our budgeted amount for sales by roughly $1.8 million. And if you had time to go through and look through, there's a lot of other things that, we are roughly going to be under budget by about $1,000 in salaries and wages. We budgeted for some of the decreases are going to come from us closing College Street. We don't really have any building maintenance expenses for Gulfport Crossing because we have a landlord that takes care of a lot of that. So this change in the building maintenance amount is really just money we have budgeted for College Street at the time. So I'll go to the worksheet. So, and I'll present this to you guys going forward so that you can kind of see how I'm keeping up with where we are in our budget and how we're forecasting out the year. So everything in green are our actuals for the year. And I'm going in and updating it at the end of each month. And then what's in orange here is what I am forecasting out for the remainder of the year. So at the end of March, I'll go in until March actuals, and that will show you my new forecast. This is what was originally budgeted, what the board voted to approve in June of last year. And then this is the amount that we will need to increase or decrease our budget for this year by for the budget amendment. So we may still have one budget amendment to do this year, just depending on how these last couple months go. We are beating our forecast by this month for like $60,000 already. So it's already out of date for March. But as you can see.
Wouldn't you say we've had a need to do budget amendments before now, but the board has kind of chosen to hold off until after closing out the old store because we knew it was coming?
Yeah, I think that we had discussed at a previous meeting, a quarterly budget amendment, if needed, is appropriate. There's a lot of fluctuation that can happen with any given month, so I think monthly is excessive, but I think looking at it quarterly and just kind of seeing where we are, that can be an appropriate measure, unless there is, an emergency budget amendment that's needs to be made for something, some special purchase.
And I want to point out, she's created this template right here that makes it much easier to project what the next quarter may look like. So when it comes time to look at it on a quarterly basis, all the hard work's basically done, Bridget. So
yeah.
I want to say thank you for putting that together. We have not had this in the past.
And that's February 2022, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
It's good. It was throwing me off. I just wanted to make sure.
So a couple things that I wanted to note. Clearly, we already mentioned our sales we're going to increase our budget by almost $1.8 million, which is outstanding. I thought that 3.5 was going to be a stretch for us for this year, and we're pulling that out of the water. So we are just under, on our mixed beverage, we are going to take out some budget from that. They're not ordering quite as much as what we expected them to. So our mixed beverage tax, so this actually is spirituous liquor tax. It's our biggest bill of the year. That is so large because our sales are big. I mean, our spirituous liquor tax bill for December was $171,000. So it's our biggest bill outside of our invoices. And like I said, we're going to finish the year roughly under $1,000 in payroll. That's with all the raises and all the bonuses that were paid out for this year so far. Retirement, we are going to increase some, but there was an increase where the board voted to double the contribution for employees. The main rents decreasing significantly because, we closed College Street. And then our distributions to the town are going to increase significantly because of our increased sales.
I would like to point out something, if you'll scroll down to the bottom. So for future consideration on today's agenda, I want to point out that down at the bottom of that line 84 net income, Bridget is projecting monthly net income of $44,000, $31,000, $46,000, and $35,000 between now and the end of the year. So if you can visualize for me, that net income is dollars that show up in our checking account. Okay? What we choose to do with that money has a bearing on what our working capital results in. We only buy one thing, and that's inventory, and that's also a current asset. We are not anticipating buying any fixtures. We're not buying a van. We're not buying any assets. And if Bridget will continue to manage expenses like she has, maintain inventory level as it is, and Jason keeps the sales at where they are to beat these numbers, that's 75, 115, 121, $156,000 that's going to show up as a current asset. And right now, our maximum working capital
698, I think.
is 698. Now that'll go up a little bit because sales are continuing to go up, but nonetheless, we can only increase today our working capital by $40,000. That's $156,000. So without making a special distribution to the town, or without the town approving our capital improvement fund by North Carolina general statute, we're going to have to turn over in excess of $100,000 of these next 4 months' profits to the town so that we don't exceed our maximum working capital. So two things got to happen. Either the town approves our capital improvement fund, or we make a special distribution to the town. We're going to have to turn it over. That's not money we can save. That's money we got to turn over. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's just important that we had this budget amendment discussion before we talk about the distribution, because we've already voted on asking the town for the capital improvement fund. Okay, so I'm sorry, Bridget. I know I keep interrupting, but.
No, it's okay. Does anyone have any other questions?
No, good job.
So the requested action then is to make a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget amendment as presented.
Thank you.
A second.
I think Don beat you to the
I
punch.
think so. It's okay.
Any further discussion? I'll concur with Mason. Good job on this, Bridget. So all those in favor say aye.
I,
I did it on my budget too. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the discussion on a $48,000 special distribution to the town of Youngsville. And if there's no objection, I would like to lead on this particular item. So to give you guys a little bit of history, I gave you a 5-year trend analysis here that shows you, well, I'll just tell you, Lisa and I moved here April 5 years ago. First thing I saw when I drove into town was the liquor store. And when we were looking at houses, I could always tell where I was when I saw the liquor store. I said, okay, I know where I'm at. And I had been serving on a ABC board up in Cramerton, North Carolina. So I was naturally eager to try to get involved here with our liquor store. It took me about a year to get on the ABC board, but at that time, we only had 2 members on the board, desperately searching for other members. We couldn't even have a telephone conversation with one another because we didn't have, everybody was a quorum. And to be honest with you, and, I got to be sensitive about what goes in the meeting minutes, but we were in pretty bad shape. For years and years and years, the ABC board, they only met quarterly, and I don't know anybody can run a business if you didn't meet every month. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's meeting quarterly. So for years and years and years, I think the town was actually running the ABC store, and that's against the law. Don't put that part in me. That's just my perception. Nobody's ever accused us of that. But anyway, I wanted to just show you, back in 2017, we made a net profit of $84,000 on $1 million in sales, and we distributed 100% of those profits to the town. In 2018, we made $103,000 in net income, and we distributed 101 to the town. In 2019, we made 107, and we distributed 97 to the town. So here's the way all that worked. I don't think the board voted on that. They didn't vote on distributions back then. The CPA firm
just took it.
calculated, what the minimum working capital was, and they put a liability on the balance sheet for anything over and above the minimum working capital as a distribution to the town, because that's the way it's always been done in the past. And it kind of took me to get Laura Lee to come up here from Raleigh and talk to the board about what board responsibilities were and what our role was and what we were responsible for. And that's when things started to change a little bit. If you look in 2020, we made 133,000 and we distributed 115,000. Well, we didn't vote on that distribution. It was part of a town management contract that we turned over 100% of our profits to the town every year. In 2021, we made $202,000 and we distributed 66. That's when that was taken out of the management contract with the town. And quite honestly, you can go back and look at the meeting minutes. Some of those meetings got a little bit contentious. because that's about time that we had bought that additional land there around the store. And it was my desire, instead of distributing 100% of the profit to the town, that we take that money and pay the land loan off so we could build a new store. Well, I was one of 3 votes and I lost. So I think when Phil came on the board and he saw the direction, now don't take this the wrong way, but I had a vision. From day one, I was on the board for 2 months and I presented a feasibility study of opening a store up there at Cleveland. It's in this notebook. I brought it for you, Bridget, so you'd have for the records. That's been my dream all along, is to open a store up there at that location. So I think when Phil finally got me and understood that my interests were in the best interests of the town, he got on board. And that's when we hired Bridget. Okay. And that's when Phil went to the commissioners and asked them that if they would forgive or give back that mandatory distribution that we didn't vote on, the $48,000, to us so we could open up that new store. Okay. I didn't want that money. That was their money. We still owed it to them. We hadn't paid them yet. So they basically said, don't pay it. You can have it back. Use that $48,000 to go to the store. Well, you guys have seen what we've been able to do. We've not needed that money. Bridget had been buying inventory all during the year up until the time we opened. You know, we'd already paid for most of the inventory. You know, we had the money from the sale of the land, and that paid for all the fixtures and interior improvements. We went over to the bank and got a $200,000 line of credit to cover us in case we come up short and needed money. We never did. So see, that $48,000 is not needed. And we're going to have to give the town some money anyway. Let's just give them that money back. We looked at that budget over the next 4 months. We're projecting that, shoot, in 1 month, we're going to get that money back. It's going to make $45,000 in one of those months. So we're not going to miss the money. We got $400,000 in the bank now. We got, well, 300 some thousand in the bank. We got $400,000 in inventory at $700,000. If we needed $45,000, we just tell Jason, look, hold off ordering a little bit next month. Let's sell this inventory down $45,000 and I got cash right here to pay for that. So I say all that to say this. I want you all to trust my leadership. Okay? I know you're new on the board. I've been new on the board many times. And, you know, my first couple months, I'm sitting there wondering, well, should I vote on this or not? You know what I mean? I don't know. Give me some history. That's what I'm trying to do. Because quite honestly, I don't ever want to see this board get back to the situation, the position it was in the past. That's why I'm going to step down as chairman later this year. I've already told you that. I want to develop Mason and his leadership. I want Don, you and Hunter to take on more involvement with the board. My goodness, Lila has. I mean, she did a great job on her annual review. She got our retirement plans fixed up and everything else. So, you know, we are an active board. We make decisions. We're the deciders. So what I'm asking you guys today to do is to decide to give this money back to the town as a special distribution. You have any questions? I mean, I'll be happy to answer any question you got.
No, I mean, me and you've talked about it. I mean, many times. I think if we already had our capital improvement fund set up, then of course I would, at the moment, I wouldn't necessarily be for it. We don't. And it's not that I don't want to give that 48 back to the town. It's just the timing of trying to put a building and land and all that. But considering we don't, and yes, we are projected, I mean, really in the next month, we could almost be over our maximum. I'm okay with, I'm good with it, giving it to them.
Thank you.
I know I don't have a vote, but I would like to also provide some context to the board, just about our relationship with our appointing authority, and that, I am a member of the North Carolina Local Government Budget Association, and we are the only ABC board representative in that association. And when I've been going to the conferences and just talking to other budget officers across the state, and I can't count the number of times that people are surprised by the ABC board relationship with our appointing authority, with our town. It is very rare. There are offices across the state that aren't even aware that ABC boards are local government members. I mean, we have something special here, and it's the reason why I continue to want to be a part of this board. I respect and trust the leadership of this board, not even just from other municipalities, but even just looking at other ABC boards across the state. There are boards that are much larger than us or the same size as us that don't have the active participation of the board members that we do sometimes. So, I want to say thank you to you guys, but I also just want the board to recognize too that, we have the support of our mayor who's active in our board, and, he comes and checks in on us, and he comes to our events, and, the town commissioners have supported us, at least since I've been here. So I think that what we have is special now, and regardless of what we want to retain and how successful we want to be, every single person that works for me at the store knows that my mission and my vision comes from my passion around supporting the town of Guntsville in any way that we possibly can. And that passion and vision comes from my board. And so I want for us to continue to have that relationship regardless of, anything that changes in the commissioners or the mayor or any town leadership. Like, I want us to always have the reputation that we support our town and our town supports us. So.
Absolutely. Just for the record, I support your leadership totally. No, look at what you've accomplished since you've joined the board.
Well, I tell you, the numbers kind of speak for itself. I mean, if you look at those totals over there over the last 5 years, we sold $11 million worth of liquor. But what does that mean? We've given $2.5 million to the state and the county in liquor tax. We've given $41,000 to law enforcement. And we've given the town over $500,000 in 5 years. Just this year alone, if we only do the minimum distribution, and Don, we're required by statute to give them 3.5%. So that's what we call our minimum distribution. That's what we got to give them. That's $93,000 projected for the end of the year. So we've not shorted them from what we've paid them over the last 5 years. You see what I'm saying? Every year it's been 80, 100, 97, 115. So our minimum distribution based on what she's done at that store over there has kept the town whole. Anything that we decide to distribute over and above that is our vote, our decision. We're the decider. We've got the authority. So that's where we're at on things. So can I call a motion then? Would someone like to make the motion? I don't think I can make the motion.
Let me say something.
Okay, no.
I had reservations at our last meeting about the $48,000. I'll say that, of paying it in one lump sum or two equal payments. But after the presentations this morning from the president and the manager and everyone else who stated anything, I concur with what you're saying.
Good deal.
And with that, I'd like to make a motion that we proceed to give the town, return to the town the $48,000 that they so graciously let us borrow. And, instead of making it in two payments, make it in one lump sum of $48,000.
Don, what we had been thinking about doing is, we distribute that minimum distribution every quarter. So what I had been thinking all along was we do half of it in March and the other half in June. Would you like to amend your motion for that effect? Okay.
Based on what the president said. I do make it in 2 equal payments in March and April.
June. Yeah, thank you, sir.
April and June, May and June.
March and June.
March and June.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, John.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any further discussion? Is Hunter on the line?
He's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Hunter. Do you have any thoughts
right.
you'd like to share?
No, I agree. I appreciate you sharing the backstory because I had a little bit of
Yeah, that's
reservations too. But I agree 100%.
Okay, good deal. So we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks, everyone.
Chair Hauser, just one point of order on that. Because he's participating remotely, he is authorized to vote, but he needs to identify himself when he votes. I think he just did because we knew that it was him.
Sure.
His voting on all the rest of the stuff that happened today, we wouldn't count it as an aye, although he was present for the meeting.
Okay, all right. I'll remember that in the future. Bridget, what's the next agenda meet? I've lost my agenda.
I think it's,
Here.
Never mind, I'll present her number.
Okay, it looks like I go first. Again, I want to just reiterate and thank everyone for conducting a good meeting in my absence. I did bring, for the benefit of Bridget, my files that I have for the food line. I've got you a template in here that you write to the chairman of the commission when we decide on what property we want to buy for his submission and that type thing. There's 4 things that I'd like Bridget and Nathan to help me on. I kind of hope that we can do a presentation at the commissioners meeting next month. I want to ask for 4 things. We've talked about the capital fund. I'd like to ask the commissioners to approve Mason Hurt as chairman and Hunter as vice chair. I'll remain on the board. That's number 1. Number 2, ask for the capital reserve. Number 3, I'd like to ask for the commissioners to approve ABC board member compensation to be $150 a month. I'm asking for the $150 approval because that's the maximum that we can be paid by North Carolina general statute. And I'm also going to clarify the point that we're only asking for them to approve us up to that limit. When we go about doing our budget planning for next year, then we can vote on what we want to pay ourselves. But I'd like to go ahead and set it up there at that maximum number. Right now, we're approved for $49 a month.
$49.92.
Okay. And then finally, number 4, I'd like to just simply announce our special disbursement to the town. And Nathan, you and I had talked about maybe sometime in the summertime, we get us a picture made with the check and stand in front of a car or something. So I think that'd be great. I'd like for the town to know that ABC board bought the police officers a car. So those are the 4 things that I was looking for, if that could be possible. And then finance officer. I know you guys are going to bring us recommendations at next month's meeting, but I just want to say that with us planning a new store, it's going to be very time consuming for Bridget. You should have seen her when we were opening up the store up there, Dawn. I mean, she's up there all the time. So I don't want her to get bogged down in day-to-day data entry. So if you're doing the RFPs the way that he presented it, doesn't necessarily mean she's got to sit there and key in all the invoices. We can train somebody to do that. So let's keep that in mind because she's much more valuable to us than doing data entry. Town service contract, just a question. Are we bringing that next month?
Yes, there's just a couple points up that Nathan and Katie are working out, but we already kind of finalized, what we agreed upon, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bridget was willing to pay more than the town requested, so.
Yeah. I appreciate you.
I think it worked out well that everybody did.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting up the committees again. Let me just go back to one more thing, Don. When you guys put your recommendation together, don't be afraid to spend some money, okay? Don't be afraid to spend some money, because I'm telling you, when the vote came to hire her, one of the board people said, there's no way in the world we're gonna be able to afford her. Well, wasn't he wrong?
Yeah.
All right, that's all I've got to report right now. Mason, you want to go next?
Sure. I don't have much other than the last meeting. Yeah, y'all did hear that Bridget and Nathan and I would meet. As you heard many times, we did. Kind of came to some good numbers, but that'll be presented next month. Outside of that, just Rick, thank you for your leadership and guidance. I think we all do trust you and believe in you. And Bridget, as always, keep up the good work.
Lila?
I just second what Mason has stated. I think both Rick and Bridget have done an outstanding job from what the board was a few years ago to what the board is today. And I think that's why people are interested in participating.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say is I think the store and the teams at the store are doing such a great job. I just like to see the town people know more of that. And I think if there was a way we could highlight some of the successes so that people understand just how much we contribute to the town. Because I don't think people realize that. I don't think the average citizen who pays taxes here in Youngsville, like some of my neighbors, I don't think they have any clue. The only thing they know is, why is that truck and all those people out there? Or why are there people on Tuesday morning at the liquor store? And they go, what is happening there? Something going wrong? No.
That is something that I also really, that is important to me, Lila, is that, I want the town, the citizens to know that, NPC liquor store doesn't equal, just a little joint anymore, that, we're there to provide self-funded income for the town in some way. That, the town doesn't pay for us in any way, shape, or form. We pay for our own expenses. We provide income to the town, and that's why we exist. That's why we work so hard. So that's also something very important to me. And I think that maybe we can try to set up some things this year to have some kind of educational things go out to the town about that.
No, I think that would be valuable because I don't think the average person has a clue about it. I mean, I certainly didn't.
Yeah. Some boards print what they give in taxes on their bags. I just have a question, Lila. Are you and Bridget still working on a bonus plan?
That was one of the things
Yes.
that.
I have
Okay.
toyed around with it, but it's not been
Okay.
the top of my priority list.
All right.
I was to say, I think her 2023 budget
Yeah, for sure.
and all that other stuff.
I'm just
But now
asking.
that the meat and the potatoes of the budget are done,
Yeah.
I do want some other human resource things that I'm working on because
Okay.
annual evaluations I just finished Jason's
Mm-hmm.
trainings coming up, so I have
Okay.
those things I'm working on too.
I think the other opportunity is next week when we're at the conference, if there's some other board members there, me to be able to, ask them the question.
Good.
about the bonuses and how it works.
Is that everything?
Yes.
Thank you. Don?
I can't really add anything to what's already been said, and I've said.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ditto everything that's been spoken about.
Okay. Hunter, do you have anything to report?
No, I apologize I couldn't be there today, but thank you guys and looking forward to get started on the new store.
Okay, good deal. Finance officer's not here. General manager?
Yes, I would try and keep my point as brief as possible. Did everyone receive the draft budget?
Yes.
Okay, so I won't go too much into it this meeting. I just this is just for you to receive as information right now. If you guys could just take a look at this over the next 30 days and any feedback that you have. I won't be at the April meeting. I'm on vacation that week, so I'm sorry I won't be able to attend. But if you could bring any feedback to that meeting, and then as a finance committee, Don and Hunter and I, they can provide that feedback to me. I can pull it from the minutes also, just about any updates or changes. When you're looking through the budget, there are little purple corners on some cells. And if you hover those corners, I have notes in about things that pertain to that specific line or that specific month. So for instance, we probably will have an additional mixed beverage customer as of June, actually. I did not put it in this budget amendment because it's not 100% certain yet, but so I did go ahead and estimate through next fiscal year us having 2 mixed beverage customers. The formulas that are in the cells are very minor adjustments to the formulas that I used for this current fiscal year's budgets and some of the taxes and things, and they were very close this year. So I did make just a couple of minor joint adjustments to those, so hopefully they'll be even closer this year. Any months that are in significant increase, like October and April are through pay periods, so you will see a large increase in salaries and wages for those months. Notes about health insurance, like how much it costs per person as of our current providers. What the retirement costs are per employee, which we only have 3. Contract services. So I have notes in about any large expenses that occur. This will be our audit services, which I have the RFPs that we'll make a decision on next month's meeting. So if you guys, again, just would like to take a look at the draft budget and bring in feedback that you have around it. There is one thing that has happened since I sent this out that I want to make sure we take into consideration, that we may need to look at this. I actually have a call with the ABC Commission Thursday this week. When the most recent House bill was passed, the omnibus, there was a piece of legislation that was in that would allow mixed beverage customers to have the option of delivery for their orders. And that really doesn't impact us right now because Fiesta Mexicana is literally next door. If they want their liquor delivered, we'll walk it over there to them. But if our second customer happens in June, the way the legislation is written is it's not optional. We are mandated to offer delivery service if our customer wants delivery. Now, we can discuss it, once I get more details after this call, we can discuss if we want to charge for that, what the fee would be to do it, if we're going to do that. But, we can contract an independent delivery service. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do, but with us being a smaller board, I just want to make sure that we know what our options are in that. We can request a hardship exemption if we feel like offering delivery service to our mixed beverage customers would cause a financial hardship for us. But unfortunately, I don't think that we would be able to do that with the money that we're making now. So all that being said, there may be a possibility that we would want to consider purchasing a small delivery van of some sort.
Potentially, how many customers would we have that might want it?
I don't know. I mean, right now, the only other one that we have is someone that's potentially opening a business in the downtown area in June. So, but if they want delivery, then we have to deliver their product to them. And I personally don't want to ask employees to use their personal vehicles.
Oh, that would be very dangerous to do.
Yeah. For a lot of reasons, but, so I don't know. I mean, again, we still have some time before that happens, and I will get further detail from the ABC Commission on Thursday, but, something for us to think about when we're putting the budget together. So, I know Cramerton did something similar.
Yeah, just to transport between the two stores.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, budget. I think that was all that I had for my notes. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Emily,
I have nothing, thank you.
Remy, you have anything?
No.
Nathan?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just had a couple of quick things. One, the town thanks you very much for the 48,000 distribution. My Cocoa Bowl events will be in the next few days. It's up to you guys, but I think Bridget and I ought to look at what your bylaws are and what the town's rules are regarding the chair and the vice chair positions, and delegate to the board the authority to pick the chair and the vice chair.
That would be good.
That would be excellent.
And that way, you don't have to go back and ask them every time. They just appoint or reappoint to the board, and then y'all pick. And then the last one was the transportation question. That's a tricky one, particularly with, I mean, if you guys are using a vehicle for a half-mile trip once every 2 weeks, I think maybe Bridget and I can get together and figure something out where one of her employees and one of my employees goes together to pick up the item and drop the item off, and that way you remove any possibility, but the possibility of somebody accidentally acquiring a case of something is reduced as close to zero is reasonable. But then there's not a capital outlay while y'all are trying to do the land and the building and everything else. And then, you'll potentially need one when you have the second store. So maybe that's a better time to figure out how big it is, what it is, that sort of stuff.
Right.
But we definitely don't want them driving their personal cars because of the legal ramifications.
That's why the town loaned the Parks and Rec truck. Well, actually, I think we use the Public Works truck because it has a lift for moving from all the closeout stuff from here. If nothing else, it looks bad as soon as you go in and walk a case of something in their car.
Yeah. Is that everything, Nathan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Before you go, Christine, are you on still?
Yes,
You're
I
on
am.
mute.
Sorry, I
Hi,
had.
Christine. I just wanted to introduce Christine. She's from the ABC Commission. She's new, working with Greg Stallings. She is kind of the ABC board liaison over there now. So she had requested to sit in on our meeting today. So I just wanted to take a moment and say welcome to our meeting, Christine. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Christine, this is Rick. I wanted to just point out that you don't know me yet and you don't understand my humor. That comment about the town doing something illegal was a joke.
I got that.
Christine, do you have any questions for us, or you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is there?
Well, it's evolving, but right now, I'm working pretty much to defend all the information coming in from the boards. Take all of your concerns and help you work through any kind of financial problems in particular. Well, basically collecting a lot of paper. And right now, putting together all of the training for budgets. It's the next part. But I've been on the road a lot, at least once a week. Last night I was out near you. I got home at 7. And then I had another board meeting that I went to. There's a lot going on in your area.
Yeah,
A lot of development, a lot of new mixed beverage customers.
yeah.
It's all good to see.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, having the problem of making too much money is a good thing.
Yes, thank you. Well, anytime that you'd like to come visit with us, you're more than welcome.
I will. I'm only a couple towns away. I live in Nightdale, so it's
Okay.
jump over Rollsville and I'm there.
Yep.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
for
you
having me. I'll reach out to you offline and looking forward to your budget amendment to see what's going on. And good luck
I'll
with
send
your
that right over.
negotiations.
Yes.
Yep. Good luck with all the negotiations. That's
Thank you.
exciting at a second store.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your service to the state. All right. Next item on the agenda is closed session. That requires a motion. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
I make a motion, we go into a closed session.
Thank you, Lila. Is there a second? Mason, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have to make a motion to go back into regular session?
No.
Okay, so we're back in regular session. During the closed session, the board discussed 3 possible site locations for a new ABC store. And we have narrowed down to a list of priorities. Location number 1, we are calling our Main Street location. Do you need a specified address?
We can get it there.
Okay,
Yeah, I was gonna say, only if someone asks, if like it's upon request.
okay. We identified as Project Main Street. The second priority was Project Holden Road. And the third was Project Cedar Creek. The cost figures assigned to Project Main Street.
No,
You're good.
You don't have to do that?
You don't
Okay.
need to disclose that unless you want to.
Okay, good deal. So do we have to make a motion and vote on those priorities?
I think you authorized Bridget to begin negotiations on behalf of the board. Finally, you'll have to sign whatever the document is, but this will allow her to go in and get an option and deploy a little bit of ABC money to move in that direction.
Okay, good deal. All right, so just a little background. We got to get ABC commission approval. We have to request the approval. We have to fill out some paperwork for the approval. They have to send out an inspector. We have to put a sign in front of the property for 30 days as for public comment. And then we need to attend the ABC commission meeting when they vote to approve the location. So just logistically, that could take 60 days or 90 days. So when we instruct Bridget to negotiate a contract, we do have to have some due diligence in that, sufficient due diligence time in that contract, that if we don't get that approval, then we can get out. So do we need to authorize how much we put down as earnest money? Okay.
45-day due diligence, or do we have to do any of that?
I feel better with 60 days.
60, you think 60?
Or
Yeah.
longer.
Well, I think the positive thing is that this particular seller, I think they're only selling to us because we requested it. So I don't think that us having that, it's not going to be a deal breaker for us to post our sign as soon as we sign the contract. And if something were to happen, then we could,
I actually have the sign in my garage.
yeah. We'll go put it up.
Okay.
Well, I would
We got to get the contract first.
I know.
You don't want to fake people out, right? So the contract's important, but also I think you may want to get that LJC approval first, because otherwise that sign may sit there for
We
some time.
can't, we have to post the sign first. It's ABC commission. The sign is
Part of the
part of the
investigation.
investigation.
Gotcha.
So after we sign the contract, they won't even talk to us until, like, I have to send them a picture of the sign the day we
Gotcha.
post it, and then they count 30 days from that.
Perfect.
So
All right, can someone make a motion to encapsulate everything that we just spoke about?
to direct the general manager to begin negotiations on securing the Main Street property.
Yes. With a minimum 60-day due diligence.
90-day closing in theory.
Yeah, that way we could have it bought by the end of the fiscal year like we planned. That'd be a good point.
All right, I make a motion that the general manager starts working on a contract towards the Main Street property with a 60-day due diligence period, closing 90 days.
Yeah, the only caveat I'd put in the 60 days would be 60 days or final approval from the North Carolina ABC Commission.
Okay, 60 days or final approval from the, contingent upon approval from them.
Yeah, we can do that.
And again, I think there's some flexibility there that if we needed additional time,
We could get it.
okay. So Emily, are you okay on that motion? Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hunter, do you vote yea or nay?
Aye.
Identify yourself, Hunter. I'm Hunter Evans.
Okay. I just want to commend everyone for a productive meeting today. Got a lot of things accomplished. The budget that Bridget is sent out to you for next year, you can see what that net profit is every month. So I just want everyone to be comfortable in knowing that we're not going to start construction on that building on July the 1st. So every month we'll be having excess money there that we can go towards the cost of that building, provided that the town gives us that capital reserve fund. So I want everybody to be comfortable with that. Don't worry about it. All right. If
I'll make a motion.
there are no further matters.
Make a motion, we close the meeting.
I
During
second.
the meeting, sorry.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.